Well, the bashing up of the Prime Minister has continued overnight and today, and it's now become, I guess, a bigger sport than 2020 cricket. Both are similar in style. It's all about the big bash. The latest came from some very unfriendly but colourful and shorn locals from fire-destroyed Cobargo. Were they angry, upset and emotional? You bet they were. We all would be. But that wasn't the only reason for their big bash. Let's start with the woman who wouldn't initially shake the Prime Minister's hand.
How are you?
I'm only shaking your hand if you give more funding to our RFS.
Hang on. The PM does not deserve that. Volunteer firefighting units in every state and territory of Australia are funded by the states and the territories, not the federal government. As for the Prime Minister's odd forced handshake, probably not a good look. But then there's the woman with the razor cut who blamed him for a lack of equipment.
How come we only had 4 trucks to defend our town?
Well, firstly, for a town of 776 people, having 4 units, as she points out, that is an excellent ratio of fire units to residents. 776 people in this town. But it's not allocated by the federal government either. It's only when a bloke with another colourful razor cut pipes up that the PM realises what he just walked into.
You're an idiot. Who votes Liberal around here? Nobody. You're out, son. You are out. Bye. Go, piss off.
Great stuff, isn't it? P off, F off. I bet it's not burning at Kirribilli. Let's decode all of this quite honestly. These are Greenies who hate Conservative leaders, hate the fact that we survive on the energy from fossil fuels, and obviously blame Scomo for not changing the weather. Not voting Liberal down here, one of them said. But what bogan behaviour. It was an ugly episode, which I've got to say the Prime Minister took on the chin with such grace. But then first thing this morning, State Liberal Minister Andrew Constance, who, it needs to be said, has been literally fighting fires and has seen 6 of his neighbours lose everything, had this to say about the Ferals bash-up of the Prime Minister.
I didn't even know he was coming, and I haven't had a call from him. So, to be honest with you, the locals probably gave him the welcome that he probably deserved. I'd say this to the Prime Minister today. The nation wants you to open up the chequebooks, obviously help people.
Now, I can only put all of that down to the Minister being very tired, maybe very upset, and needing to let off a little bit of steam. Maybe. But then this came.
I'd say this to the Prime Minister today. The nation wants you to open up the chequebooks, obviously help people rebuild their lives. I know this is tough, and I know I'm on his side of politics.
Write cheques to rebuild towns? This is the day after a fire. Since when has any government done that? The fact is, the Prime Minister made it clear yesterday in a press conference that there are teams of officials from various federal departments making their way to the fire grounds to work on keeping people fed, watered and in shelter. Survival and evacuation is surely the first order of business. And the Premier of New South Wales, Gladys Barry, confirmed that that was happening today, this afternoon, in a late press conference. Does he really expect cheques to fall from passing helicopters to give people free homes so that they can start rebuilding? Insurance companies haven't even got into the field yet to work out what's been lost, what's insured and how homes can be rebuilt. And then the Minister's best friend, the Premier, was asked about those remarks from Andrew Constance.
I don't begrudge anyone who's on the ground. I mean, Andrew is a good friend of mine and he's just seen the sheer devastation. There's no doubt people were justified in feeling angry. People were justified in feeling scared.
Was she taking sides? Probably not. Was she being diplomatic? Yes, and probably an accurate assessment that he has gone through a difficult time. But who patched it all up? It was the Prime Minister who made contact with his angry New South Wales colleague.
I've known Andrew for a long time and I've reached out to him today. And Andrew, like so many in that part of New South Wales, I mean, his neighbour lost his own property there and he's been defending his own property there. He's deeply part of that community and so I can understand.
Again, with a degree of grace, and maybe a truce was called. But still, We had the opposition leader continuing his daily press conferences to say the federal government should run bushfire operations, not state governments. Now, that would be an Australian first for fires. Hardly warranted when you consider that the Australian Defence Force is so ensconced in numerous operations of support already in both New South Wales and Victoria. And they're loading up HMAS Adelaide at Garden Island in Sydney as I speak to do more support work in various places on the South Coast. It's unbelievable. As for Anthony Albanese, he was at the cricket. Imagine if Scomo had turned up to the cricket. And then we have international television host Piers Morgan, a Conservative, giving Scomo a performance assessment from 17,000 kilometres away. He said he got what he deserved, absolutely unconscionable for a Prime Minister to holiday as his nation burns. We've kind of gone beyond that step, Piers. Now, the PM may not have the kind of personality that we've seen with other Prime Ministers, and certainly not a personality that ingratiates him with those who might swing between the parties. That's just the way he is. But the big bash-up on everything he says or does through these summer of bushfires have been way over the top, and it's only getting worse. As I've said all week, we have never seen a natural disaster so horribly and unfairly politicised.